Lily is the vice chair. There we go. I'll do that again. Hello, my name is Spencer. Thank you for having me. I'm the chair and ALT in Gifu Prefecture. Lily, hopefully she'll be joining us as well. She's the vice chair. She's also an ALT and she's in Kumamoto Prefecture. We're both USJETs as well. So I'm originally from St. Louis and Lily's from Kansas City, I believe, on the Kansas side. A little bit about myself as well. So I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran. I served for 6 years from 2006 to 2012. And I actually graduated from DLI. So that's the Presidio Monterey Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center. That's within walking distance from the school. So another reason, other than the weather, that I really wish I could have joined you this weekend is to see my old school. So it's really cool that you're having the conference in Monterey, and it's nice that I can virtually be there with you. And we have Lily with us. So Lily, if you don't mind, can you introduce yourself very briefly?
Real quick before Lily gets started, Spencer, we're only seeing the first slide of your screen right now.
Oh no,
navigate.
resume share. Let's try that.
I think you should. It says
present or play.
it's for viewing your screen, but you don't want to
It
hit.
looks like the presenter screen.
Yeah.
Instead of the audience. Maybe press.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Ah.
Let's try this one and this one. Hey, there we go. Okay, good. Okay. Oh, also, really interesting thing too. I'm on my third contract here. However, I will not have been in Japan for 2 calendar years until 3 weeks from now because of the pandemic. So I did get into the country in a very slim window whenever the country opened. So that's another interesting thing. Okay, so Lily, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Lily Nguyen. I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas, and this is my second year as an ALT in Kamiyamaksa in Kumamoto Prefecture. It's a really beautiful island, lots of beaches and mountains around. And I just want to thank you for your time today, and I look forward to sharing with you how we are sort of pushing AJET into a more renewed sense of direction. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Lily. I did say Kansas City, so my bad before you got in here. I was going to get a 1 in 3 on that, either Kansas City, Wichita, or Topeka. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, so very quickly, do you want to mention AJET, what we do? So if you're not familiar with AJET, for the purposes of accessibility, I will also read this aloud. So we enhance the lives of JET program participants by representing their views and concerns to CLAIR and the government ministries that oversee the JET program. We provide support for local, social, and professional development initiatives through regional chapters, assist in providing mental health resources to JETs, publish a periodical online magazine, and manage a nationwide couchsurfing-like network. So that is what we do. I'm sure many of you are familiar with AJET as well. So for a little more information about the executives, outgoing for the chair and vice chair is Spencer Viernes and Joe Trischler. Stephen Coyne, who was the chair 2 years ago, was the acting treasurer as well. We currently don't have a treasurer this year, so I'll be acting as treasurer. So that's us for this year, and our outgoing executives. So you may be familiar with them as well. Do also want to show this to you. So this is orientation from just a couple weeks ago, and on stage there's Lily. She's addressing the new JETs. So one of the reasons why I wanted to include this here in the presentation is you can see that everyone is there. The KO Plaza looks pretty much like it's normal. So we're kind of getting back to normal, which I think is one of the big themes that a lot of the Alumni Association meetings and conferences are centered around. So Lily, did you want to add anything to your experience during orientation?
Yeah, sure. Overall, it was a very fruitful experience, not only meeting with some of the CLAIR representatives and understanding that we have the same goals and are really excited to work together this year, but meeting the JET participants as well. So many of them were excited to jump into life in Japan and were asking me about how to get involved with AJET or with their own prefectural AJET communities. It gave me a lot of hope in how we're going to move forward this year.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, and I saw that a lot too. The new JETs I met during the previous orientation from this one on screen, especially the ones who are here in Gifu now, they're really receptive to getting really involved. So I think in regard to a lot of our themes surrounding pandemic recovery, that's one of the big things that we're seeing with this cohort is a lot of people are really excited and receptive to getting involved with their community. Whereas I think, not to be Debbie Downer, but a lot of our JETs who arrived during the pandemic, not really a whole lot. So a lot of them are very solitary. So let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so current and upcoming projects. So we just recently launched our website 2.0. You can visit it today and see our new website. So that's available to you. And we are beginning our opinion exchange survey, which will happen in October, and the conference in December. So if you're unfamiliar with the opinion exchange survey, it is a JET-wide survey that we produce, asking JETs for a lot of information regarding their lives here in Japan and their lives on the JET program. We present that information to CLAIR and the 3 ministries in December to give them some useful data points on things that they may not be able to see from their perspective, and also present on information that may have also been discussed in previous years to track how those changes have been going. So the outcome hopefully is for qualitative change, or otherwise they have some ideas of how they can shape the program for future generations. The next year that we have is Reconnection and Revival, prefectural chapters and special interest groups. So I'm sure many of you have been experiencing this at home with a lot of the activity having been drawn down because of the pandemic. So that's very much the same here. Because of the pandemic, also we have had a lot of trouble with handing off leadership and transitioning between generations because of the past 3 years. A lot of positions went unfilled. A lot of people had to age out of the program and leave, thus breaking the chain of having people fill those positions in those prefectural AJET chapters and the special interest groups. So we kind of have to jumpstart everything from scratch. So that's going to be a lot of the work that we're doing this year. And then we're also looking at philanthropy opportunities. We're actually getting some things in the works right now with Rose Tanasugarn. So you may be familiar with her. She's the treasurer of JET Alumni Association in Western Japan. She's been a great resource to us and a mentor as well. So she's helping us with getting some volunteer opportunities too around Japan. Our first project being in Kobe. So we're going to have more information on that in the future. And Lily, did you want to add anything to this slide?
I'll say, I think one of the reasons that we lost a lot of connections in between our organizational groups is caused a lack of awareness of AJET as a whole. I know so many second year, third year, and above JETs who have never even heard of AJET. And I think because we had the opportunity to speak at orientation to every single JET, hopefully this upcoming year we'll be able to repair some of those relationships.
Cool, thank you, I agree. Okay, so there's a little screen cap of our website. So nice, brand new. And under the community tab as well, on the top right, we do have links to the various alumni associations. So also want to mention that too. Okay, so areas for improvement this year. So just as Lily mentioned, visibility and interaction with JETs, that's going to be one of our biggest things. One of the things we're seeing is that there's a decreasing amount of activity on Facebook, which is kind of where our bread and butter was for advertising. A lot of people are moving almost strictly into just chat groups and Discord servers. And then also there is, of course, Reddit, which can be challenging. If any of you have visited the subreddit for JET program, it's it can be a good place to put information, but there's quite a lot of interesting discussions going on, and then of course a lot of just inquiries about, hey, I want to get into the program, so a lot of stuff might get lost easily there. Filling vacancies on the council is another thing that we want to work on. So we do have 12 council members. However, I think 7 or 8 positions are still unfilled, including block representatives. So that's something that we want to do to strengthen our reach. Sourcing revenue, I think, of course, that's pretty common for a lot of organizations. Reconnecting with JET community entities. So that is one of our main reasons for joining you here today, is to reconnect with you all. We'd like to also reconnect with the other arms of the JET alumni associations. We are repartnering with a lot of our partners that we've lost touch with, and so on. And then overall operational recovery from pandemic times. So just making sure that everything's working smoothly. And then Lily, do you have anything you want to add to this one?
I think you've covered it. Thank you, Spencer.
Okay. So questions from AJET. Let's see here. I want to see my presentation. Or my presenter notes. Oh, that's okay. I won't have my presenter notes here. But I have pretty much everything in memory. So how can the alumni chapters better prepare the new JET participants for life in Japan? And on the program, this is a question posed to us from Valerie when we were first talking about joining the conference this weekend. So a couple of things that I've observed is I'm part of 2 Discord servers that were for incoming JETs. So being the DCMC and the San Francisco Consulate. So I asked them a couple weeks ago if they had a chance to take advantage of any of the JET Alumni Association events, or even make contact with the alumni associations prior to coming to Japan. So only just a very small handful of people in both of those Discord servers mentioned having known about the Alumni Association, and then even fewer were able to join events. So that was kind of that was actually a little surprising to me, especially for my cohort. I'd want to say that a great number of the people from the consulate group that I came from, Chicago, we interacted with the Alumni Association during that year. So that was in 2020 while we were waiting to come to Japan. So there wasn't really a whole lot of interaction, at least in terms of the people I met through Discord with the alumni associations. Another two things that I've also observed in terms of things that I think they would need to have in preparation for their lives in Japan are skill sets for finding resources. So what I mean by that is I find that a lot of the new jets are having a little trouble understanding their kind of their chain of command structure, and then also their overall support structure. So some people are asking for like, is it normal that I'm not able to get internet for a month, or when is an appropriate time for me to submit an NQ request because I have something that I need to go to next week. So these are questions that are popping up in Discord and line chats. And I think these are things that they can address with their supervisors. But then also there are instances where folks also have like, I can't get in touch with my supervisor. I haven't heard from them in a long time, and they're at a different school or they're at the Board of Education. So simply just understanding how to navigate that. I actually made a pretty handy support chart, kind of a flow chart for Gifu Prefecture. I'm getting approved right now that will be posted on the Gifu JET website. So that might actually be something I'll pull over into AJET, but that overall, I think coming from a military background, it was very clear. If I didn't have my direct supervisor to go to, then who next do I go to, kind of thing. So that might be something worth discussing with JETs, is understanding how to navigate your support structure. And then also another thing too is financial management is a big thing too. I found a lot of folks, they kind of get the gist of, here's how much money I should probably be bringing with me to Japan. But after that, the discussion kind of ends. So they prepare a couple thousand USD, they come to Japan, and then they try to set up. But some of the things that kind of get lost during that time, during the research, is how do I also make sure I have access to my money in the US? How can I transfer yen back to the US? What are some considerations I should be thinking about in terms of paying bills that I still have in the US? And then what happens in the case that I don't get paid for the first pay period, which I've actually found quite a lot of people have gone through. They didn't get paid in the first pay period, rather they had to wait until the second pay period in order to get their first paycheck, which is pretty nerve-wracking for a lot of folks. So kind of general financial management would also be another area for helping people to prepare for the time in the program. Lily, did you have anything to add to this bullet point?
I feel as if JETs are inundated with a lot of information as they prepare for their move to Japan. I wonder if it would be possible for the alumni chapters to send a check-in maybe a month or so into their move when things have sort of settled down. Another point I was thinking is more mental health resources, as I've noticed many first-year JETs, particularly around the winter months when things get colder, are the most difficult months to get through. So more suggestions of how to get through those periods and understanding that that is normal. Thank you, Spencer.
I totally agree. Okay. And then we also had some questions from the Canada National Convention a couple weeks ago. So I'll display both of those here. Effects of the pandemic on AJET. So like I mentioned in one of the previous slides, we've been having a lot of trouble, both on the national side of things, and of course, much more on the local side of things, is simply just not having people to replenish those ranks in terms of filling officer roles, executive roles, and then also just making events too. So my prefecture is not an exception to this. I'm actually the Gifu AJET lead as well, because we didn't have anyone to fill in for a board. So I'm currently gathering volunteers to kind of mentor them, and then we hopefully will have an official elections later this year for Gifu Prefecture. And then effectiveness of online events. So of course, for national AJET, we have to have all of our events online. We hopefully like to do something physically, but of course everyone has busy schedules. Same thing for our special interest groups. A lot of them are online. And then of course for the local chapters though, there really isn't a whole lot of appetite for doing online events. Unless of course maybe there are folks who like video games, and that's pretty much it. Because as we can see from the past 2 to 3 years, that was all there was just online events. So a lot of people don't really care for those anymore. They like to do in-person participation. But of course, despite having the wonderful train system here that we do here in Japan, it can take a lot of time to travel, even within a prefecture. So that is a challenge, that people do want in-person events. And then of course they're hard to get to. People also have their own lives. So that's something that we're kind of working with as well. I think that might be the last slide. Nope. Oh, one more thing. So we're interested in doing a lot of stuff with alumni associations. One idea that popped up is current JET alumni mentorship. And some of you might be familiar with Logan Keene. He's our director of alumni relations. This is one of the discussion that we're having right now. Like, what would that look like for current JETs? How can we think of ways in which we can also involve alumni association interaction with current JETs? So some of these might actually be like matching people one-on-one in terms of like the things they identify with, such as gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, or profession. These might be things that we can connect current JETs to alumni JETs, so they can kind of figure out, helpful things for their lives or the direction they want to take their career. Also discussion panels as well. So having like mini conferences, something like this with current JETs and such, that would be cool. So we would love to have more conversations about that. Like, what can we do to have more current JETs and alumni interacting? Yeah, speaker panel seminars, as I mentioned, assisting with the Kenjet Kai development as well. So, of course, I think having current JETs help with that development would speed things along for the International JET Alumni Association. And then Board of Advisors. So one really big thing that we discovered was the difficulty in creating continuity for AJET. So of course, with the past 2 to 3 years, a lot of leadership aged out before we could have replacements. So for AJET, all of the terms for the officers, including the executives, are just 1 year. So unless someone wants to continue with that position or stay on the council in general, they would have to reapply. But generally people don't. Generally people stay on for just 1 year and then move on or age out of the program. We are fortunate this year to have a couple folks who have been on the council for more than 1 year. So we do have a few who are 2 years. And then we do have some alumni who we can reach out to in case we have any questions. But I think having a board of advisors specifically designated for mentoring the council and then providing any support or anything where needed is going to be really important, really helpful. So that's going to be something that we'll be developing here pretty soon. And Lily, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. So that is the end of the slides, and we still have about 15 minutes left. So the remaining time, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Hi, Spencer. Hi, Lily. Thanks so much for presenting to us. It's really nice to actually have the alumni and the current JETs together at a conference like this. One thing I was thinking about, so I left JET in 2007 and things are quite different. So I am not confident about giving accurate advice. So I believe back then, at least for US JETs, you would get a refund of your pension payments. And I think that has changed significantly as of today. So I worry about giving the wrong kind of information to current JETs. And that's where I think the AJET website would be really beneficial to clarify like how things may have changed in terms of JET policy. Because even within 1 year, something could be very different. And for giving JETs the wrong impression, it's really nice to know that AJET sort of has our back. Like, for example, I don't even know if this is still true, but you have to go to the Kagoshima AJET website to know about US taxes. And like, it would be nice if that were somehow folded into AJET, but somehow that just became a Kagoshima AJET thing. So, and I don't even know if that's still true. So there is that sort of information pipeline. And I would agree that the JET subreddit is kind of a mess in terms of like trying to get an authentic and not trollish response of things on JET. So that's just something that I think, because some of our boards, we also have not been able to recruit and we don't have recently returned JETs. And so that knowledge gap gets bigger and bigger every year for some of the chapters.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Adam. I think that's a good point. Just a little bit of clarification. It's actually the Kumamoto tax guide. Yeah. And we use it here in Gifu too. So it's the North Star for all of us in terms of doing our taxes.
Okay.
And I think in Gifu on our website we do also have information about the pension. So I think that might that was also something that I was considering too while we were working on the 2.1 version of the website, is pulling in a lot of these guides that are being written from the local chapters as resources, not only of course because they're useful resources, but also just to advertise, hey, these are the things that are going on this website in this prefecture, so please give them your support, sort of thing. But yeah, I think that yeah, taxes, pension, putting that on our website would be great. And as it turns out, there are actually a lot of current resources out there. It may even just be in maybe like a prefectural advisor's Google Drive, and it hasn't been published online yet. So that is something that we have envisioned for the next iteration, next update for our website. So Lily, do you have anything to add?
I was thinking a driver's license guide would be good as well, but it seems that each prefecture differs in how the test is carried out. So I do like how when individual prefectures have customized advice to that, but of course, not all prefectures update their websites.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So that's another thing too, kind of goes along with a lot of the information that we shared today. So a lot of websites may not be updated in part because the credentials were lost to the people who graduated from the JET program and weren't passed on to current JETs. So we can find a lot of these websites haven't been updated for a year or two or several. So yeah, some of the information might actually be outdated on those websites, but of course with AJET, we're current, so we can keep everything up to date.
Just a reminder for those watching online, you can enter your questions into the meeting chat. We have that visible here, but I think we had one more question. You had another? Oh, you had a comment about what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
so, about like not having like up-to-date information, in Hawaii's chapter, we basically host pre-departure orientation on behalf of the consulate. So we are giving them as much information. But we also, like, we Zoom with current JET during the orientation, so they can ask the questions and give us like the information, besides what we're sharing based on, like what they can Google, what we can Google. But yeah, we had like 3 current JETs Zoom with us.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so we could get volunteers from among the current JETs, but to donate their time and get up early, then I mean for us.
Okay, I think we had a question in the middle. Yep.
So Spencer, I'm Rob from the Portland Association, and first thing on that, we also do orientation for JETs who are leaving. But for the last couple of years, we found that a lot of these JETs don't want to ask the Alumni Association any questions. Like we'll open up like a weekly meeting and nobody comes and joins. And so I start to wonder, like, I know they have questions, but they don't seem to want to get it from us. I don't know where they're getting their resources from anymore. So
Tell the conflict and tell them that they have.
we've done that. So it might just be the batch of kids who are going. But the next thing is, when I was on the program eons ago, there used to be regional AJET meetings. Is that still happening now?
So let me address your first one in terms of like where people are getting their information from. So find a lot of information comes from either communities that people build on their own or Reddit. And a lot of those communities which people build on their own actually start from Reddit too. So that's how I found the DC and the San Francisco cohorts. So I joined their discords through them after having found their links. So I think, as I mentioned before, with Facebook kind of dwindling these days, it might actually be beneficial for alumni to also join these discords, because then you'll be able to directly contact them, and then you don't have to worry about needing to filter through all the extraneous garbage that ends up on Reddit. So that's how I'm interacting with these folks who are from DC and San Francisco, is directly in their Discord. I find that it's helpful, and I also find that's non-toxic as well. So it's a really great place for me to support them. And then also a great place for them to find support too. So that might be a great way to reach out to them, because we kind of see that too. It's really hard to find the places that people are receptive to receiving these communications. And then remind me again one more time, the second question.
Well, actually, back to your group one, do you have a list of all the Discord groups right now?
You can actually find that on Reddit. So there's like a mega thread, like an incoming mega thread for 2023. It has a list of all the it has a list, or all the comments in that thread have links to those Discord groups, and many of them are still active. So especially like the 2 groups that I'm still in, they're still being used every single day. So they are still, at least for the 2 groups that I'm in, I can speak to those. They still accept people who are from their embassy group or consulate groups. So you can still join them, and they do also have current JETs in there as well. myself included. So I definitely recommend, reaching out to them that way through Discord. And that may actually be the future of how we communicate with incoming jets, or rather outgoing for all of you, is by their Discords.
I'll flip that one really quick, if you don't mind. So because we just had a conversation about our JET alumni groups creating our own Discord to kind of be in partnership with the regional Discord that currently exist for the AJET group. Is there a central AJET like that you run Discord that's supposed to be for like all chapters, similar to the USJETAA one that Adam created, that kind of is the central hub that our regional JETAA groups branch off of?
Yes, actually. So there is one. I made it about a month ago. It's called the National AJET National Network. So this one is specifically built for the executives of all AJET chapters and special interest groups, as well as executives and officers of other JET related entities, to include the alumni associations. So I know we have, it's not very active right now because we're still getting invites out. And I'm still building it a little bit too. There's still some things I need to work on. We do have Jessica in there. But yes, I will. Here's what I'm going to do. Adam, I'm going to just email you the invitation for that Discord.
I was about to message you on Discord.
or I'll just DM you in Discord with the invitation link. I can do that right now.
I was gonna say
And
that with Adam, I think, because we would love to bridge that gap. I mean, you were just saying before that there was the concern that, newly returned jets are not finding their regional alumni chapters. So we'd love to find a way to bridge that gap.
absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
I think Corey had a question.
I have two. One is easy. Who should we contact about updating our alumni chapter kind of page on like new information on your site? Is that you guys or?
So you can contact, let's see here. We do have a webmaster email alias that we can use, but for now, at least, where are we?
Or are those linked to our current pages?
I didn't see a website on mine, but we are just down for a while. So.
He just typed it in the chat. It's
So you
exactly.
can use exec@ajet.net, or you can do chair or vice chair at ajet.net, but exec reaches both myself and Lily. So we will also eventually have like here's our contact information page on our website. But for now, you can use that one. It'll reach the both of us.
Then my second question was, regarding pre-departure orientation, we were working really, really hard to, provide a lot of information, but we were really afraid of duplicating what happens in Tokyo, both because it sort of then starts to make their eyes glaze over, but also because we don't want to say the wrong thing, or we just want to, we have a limited opportunity to give them extra information. We want to make sure it's useful and not something they're going to hear elsewhere. So with that in mind, though, we never get a copy of, this year's topics that they're going to cover. It's been 15 years since I went through my, pre-depart or my Tokyo orientations. I have no idea what they're covering every year now. So I don't know if there's a way to, I don't know if you guys get a copy of the kind of general topics of a month or so in advance of that, of when the PDOs and the Tokyo orientations will be happening. And if we could share that with the alumni chapter.
Yeah, so for us, let's see how this works. We reach out to the CLAIR coordinator, which is Simon Essler, and he invites us to join the orientation. if I remember correctly, we did get a schedule with all the sessions and everything, like the titles at least. But it might actually be best if we just have like one big email together, like, hey, we want to have Simon maybe speak with JETAA International and then disseminate that information through them. Because I think that's a great point, and you don't want to duplicate the effort in providing the same information that they're going to get at orientation anyway, which I think inevitably happens. But of course, like that saves you a lot of work because that happens all in Tokyo, and then you can focus on other things. So that's something I will take note of, and then we can work on that for through to next spring and summer.
I don't know if you see maybe this side, a lot of the consulates took advantage of the pandemic to like tighten, or I guess MOPA took advantage to kind of tighten their budgets. They're not really opening up their budgets again. So like our consulate PO was like 2.5 hours. So we really have a very limited time to cover a lot of ground. And we don't know if we need to stick to the basics or if we should go into maybe some kind of topics that don't typically get covered. So just so you know,
Okay.
in our head.
That's
Okay.
something you will want to work with the program coordinator in your area on.
Oh,
So
yeah,
there's,
they were the ones involved, but they were the
Yeah.
ones that like.
something that happens too is so every, sorry, hi Spencer, this is Jessica. I think this is the first time we're like actually hearing each other's voices.
Oh, hey, Jessica.
Yeah. We've emailed several times. But there can be a whole variety of events that happen leading up to orientation. But there's actually only one event that's called a pre-departure orientation, right? And that's the day before the jets depart, the day before they get on that airplane. That's the only event that is required. They have to be at that event in order, like that's when they get their passports back.
Right.
Right, so you have to show up if you want to go. So most program coordinators are involved in that pre-departure orientation to some extent. How much they're involved in it will change on a case-by-case basis, consulate-by-consulate basis. So that's where you have your actual audience, where you have their full time and attention. And so I just wanted to make sure, like, that's the one that you want to target. And if your program coordinator, so they're going to have things, the consulate is going to have things that they have to cover during that event, whether it's 5 hours or 2 hours. But I think probably coordinating with AJET, and then I also am in touch with Simone, and Matt Gillum would also be in touch with Simone, the CLAIR New York office. But that's a really good, like, getting that schedule from them and being able to disseminate it to chapters ahead of time is a really excellent point. And I think my guess is that their Tokyo orientation schedule or what they cover doesn't actually alter very much from year to year, right? So it should be an easy ask, and you should, in my mind, logically be able to get it a couple months beforehand.
And I know details of the, like, we don't need like the final slides 2 months in advance, just like the topic.
The topics that
Yeah.
they're covering, yeah.
Okay, well, we're just about out of time, unless anyone else has any burning.
I have one last question that I wanted to ask Spencer.
Okay.
You were talking about a mentorship program.
Yep.
Between current JETs and JET alumni. Have you been able to gauge how much interest on the current JET side there would be in a program like this?
Haven't yet. So that might be something that we'll push through social media to begin seeing like what the interest is. Because I think if there is a lot of interest, then we can like really get into developing it. If not, then we can start something small like those speaker panel events that I mentioned.
That's something I'd definitely be interested in following up with you on and working with you on.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
Sorry, I have one last fast question. Do you get the current JET emails and contact information from the consulate, or do you have to go get it on your own?
They don't get
We have to get it on our own.
Okay.
Before we leave, I do also have one question that I want to pose all of you, which you can email to us and we can brainstorm, is what's maybe not what, but how can we better support the alumni associations in terms of getting outgoing from Japan, outgoing jets to join you? But I think that was one big thing that we were lacking this year was simply just like advertising for, hey, you're leaving. But we also want to make sure that you know that you have someone supporting you whenever you get back home as the JET Alumni Association. So one of the things that we discovered from the Canada National Conference was that they're also having trouble with replenishing their membership, replenishing their officer positions, in part due to simply just not having that visibility for people who are returning. So what are some things that we can do together to better make sure that the people who are going back home know that they have these alumni associations waiting for them and to join them too?
I have two answers for that. Yeah.
You're.
The one, I mean, I'm sure I can brainstorm more, but off the top of my head, there's two things that come to mind. One is continuing to promote the JET Alumni Association throughout the current JET's tenure on the program. So the more times they see JET AA come up, whether it's in Connect Magazine or whether it's pushed out on social media through coordinate events or posting, the more times they see it, the more times, you know, the better, the more it becomes a legitimized place for them to land when they get home. So number one is promotion. Oh gosh, what was the other one I just said? It was really good.
Our Discord sites.
I'll think about it. You go ahead. You have a question.
No, I was
Okay,
gonna say
okay.
very similarly, I mean, I know that as Adam said, we're very gung ho about the Discord at the moment. Just because we, like, a couple of our chapters have set that up, and I think similar to what Jessica said, that constant promotion, like if we're able to give you, you know, if there is an AJET, a national AJET Discord, and there is a channel that people know, I think the gap that we've seen is we have to wait to receive a list of people who have come back. But the Jets will know where they're going back to. And if we just provide them with the ways to access those networks, to be able to self-source that information, but also for us to potentially promote that information on the channels they use most, I would hope that that would close that gap. Because right now there seems to be kind of that disconnect of, I mean, thankfully this year we just JETAA Southern California, we just got the list of returnees, and it's only September, but last year we got it in November. And so they're not really recent returnees anymore.
Yeah, so this is a database issue for us as well. And so capturing, so, you know, there's several points that we can try and capture JET contact information, but we're getting maybe, you know, overall, I would say somewhere around the 40% of the contact information of returning jets. And like Becca said, sometimes it can come several months down the road. So, you know, the people are coming back, and then we're scrambling, you know, to all four corners of the nation, trying to find them and then get them involved. But what we need to do is have them involved the whole way through. So once they depart on JET, they can see that, okay, I'm a JET for the next 1 to 5 years, and then I naturally transition into being an alumni. And so to build that pipeline in from the beginning. So I've been trying to work with MOFA to capture their contact information before they depart. There are obviously challenges there, and I won't go into that. There's challenges there. And even though CLAIR tries their hardest, there's no systematic approach or process to capture returning jets information as well. So, you know, it's all about privacy laws, and they're much more conservative in Japan, so we're up against that as well. So we're sort of at this space right now where it's a multi-pronged attack, right? Like we're using chapters to try and catch their information at pre-departure orientation. I'm working with MOFA to ask consulates to capture their information before they step on the airplane. We're also working with CLAIR to get their information when they return. But we really need to find one sort of one spot along the process where they can all put their information into a centralized place. And probably that makes the most sense to live with USJETAA. So to have it in a centralized place and then allow us the freedom to sort of then parse it out to the chapters as appropriate. So it sounds like a very simple solution and it isn't that complex, but putting it into place is complex because of all the different challenges along the way. But something we're aware of, and I think that would, if we can work with you also to get some of the contact information, that's just one more place where we're trying to grab that information from. So it's just one more piece to help us out.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I think we've all had a really good discussion today. We started a really good conversation that's been very much necessary. So I just wanted to plug again the Discord. I know Spencer's there. I don't know if Lily's on there or not yet either, but definitely join there. I think we can continue the discussion some more there. So yeah, thank you both for your time for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
wonderful-
you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Bye.